Okay, so welcome back to my channel. Okay, this is going to be a quick review of Insatiable episode 4, Wmbs. Okay, so Patty and Bob, they're at the gym, and he's trying to get her fit for this upcoming pageant. Now, I guess the big pageant is called Miss Magic Jesus, but in order to qualify for that pageant, she has to win another pageant, any pageant. So he's working with her, and now he has her in the gym. They've done their workout, and he's now doing these inappropriate, suggestive stretches with her. So Coralee walks up, basically, like, "What the hell are you doing?" And he explains to her, like, "I'm trying to get her ready for the Miss Okie Finoki or some pageant in Florida." And Coralee was like, "Well, that pageant, because of Zinka and West Nile, that pageant has been canceled." And so now he's trying to scramble to find out what he can do to get her qualified for this pageant. And so Bob Barnard and Eddie Mae walks in, and they start talking, and Eddie Mae reveals that she was asked to leave or give up her seat on the junior league because she didn't have the time to devote to the organization because she's a doctor, and so she travels a lot for work. And she was basically like, and to be fair, okay, I'm not going to say that the women on these boards don't have other organizations, don't have other jobs, but you typically, in these kind of situations, you'll find women who are stay-at-home moms. So she was basically like, I can't help the fact that I have a job, I have a career. And so that's when Coralee was like, "Well, why don't we create our own organization, and one that'll rival the junior league?" And so they talked a little bit, and they agreed, "Oh, that's that sounds like a good idea, but we have to come out with the bang. And so what can we do?" And of course Bob is like, "Ding ding ding, let's have a beauty pageant." So because to qualify, it could be any pageant. It doesn't matter how big or how small. She just has to win a pageant to qualify. And so they're like, so they were like, "Okay, well, what kind of pageant? What are we gonna do?" And there are a lot of revelations in this episode. And so I think I don't know if it was Bob Barnard or Eddie, it's like a mother-daughter pageant. And Coralee was like, "Well, we have to have something that I can participate in because our daughter is in the Marines and she's deployed. So where would I fit? There's no way for me to fit in that kind of situation." And so they agreed that it doesn't have to be your daughter. It can be somebody that you mentor, or just a young woman that means a lot to you. You have some kind of connection or relationship with. And so of course Bob Armstrong recommended that Coralee and Patty do the pageant together. So Coralee was not having it, and they were running on the treadmill, and she had kind of adjusted his settings. This man, he flew off that damn treadmill. It was a hot mess. So Coralee is definitely not happy about this. And so now Nonnie and Patty are in her house, in their room, talking about the pageant and what she has to do. And the next thing you know is the door opens, and they're like, "Well, who's that?" And it's Patty's mom. And Nonnie was like, "Why didn't you tell me she was back in town?" And Patty was like, "Because I didn't know. Like, this is the first time she's seen her mom in a week." So she gets down there, and her mom is all like, "Hey, honey," and like nothing's wrong. And she's like, "You haven't been here in a week. You only left me $20, which lasted me half a day. I had all this shit going on, and you weren't here to help me." And basically, she went off on her mom, like, "Bitch, I'm about sick of you." And she was like, and her mom had the nerve to say language. She said, "Oh yeah, we Bladell are upstanding women. I can see your nipples." And then the mom was like, "Oh, I must have left my bra in the park." I'm like, "Girl, so you the town drunk and the town slut. Okay, honey." And so mom was like, "Well, what's going on?" She's like, "Well, don't worry about it, because Bob helped me, and I'm going to be in this pageant, and I'm going to be in." She said, "Oh, okay, well, that's great, the mother-daughter pageant." That's what she told her, that she was in the pageant with Coralee. So of course she felt some kind of way, which she don't really have no right to feel any kind of way. How do you leave your daughter for a week and with no way to contact you and no money? So Bob and Coralee, they're talking about it, and he's still trying to get Coralee warmed up to the idea of them being in the pageant together. And he's basically trying to see trying to get them to see that they do have some common ground. So they're, talking. So Patty was actually on her way to their house to sit down with Coralee so that they could talk. He was like, you both, basically come from humble beginnings. You have a lot more in common than you realize. So of course, Patty came from a broken home with a mom with an addiction, and she was neglected, and obviously came from, which resulted in her being overweight and her overcoming that. And then you have Coralee, who came from a family from the trailer park, probably less educated than most, and she was able to pull herself up from that. And so he's basically trying to say, you guys have a lot more in common. And so of course Coralee was like, I'm not getting in this to win. And Bob was like, what the hell, what are you talking about? Why are you doing it? He's like, I want to be Eddie Mae's partner. I don't want to put myself in a position to be her competition. And it's similar. She doesn't want the situation that Bob Barnard and Bob Armstrong has. She just wants, like she said, she wants to be her partner. Because she really does admire Eddie Mae. And she, like she said before, she wants to be her. And so they agree that, okay, they come to an agreement that she's going to, Bob was able to get her to change her mind about just competing and winning, because she was like, well, if you just win, then you're always going to be seen as, I guess he was saying less than, if you win, no, he said if you lose, you're always going to be seen as a loser, but if you win, you'll be seen as her equal. And so that's what kind of got her to thinking, okay, well, I'll put a little more effort into it to win the pageant instead of just being there. Okay, so that ends, and they decided they're going to advertise the organization at the back to school night. And so Coralee is getting dressed, and Bob Armstrong walks in, and he shows her this paper, which is I think it was a traffic cam the night that Brick had that accident, and saw Regina in the front seat of his car with her shirt off and his hand on her chest. And so now they're like, oh, what the hell's going on here? So they sit him down, and he's initially said, no, nothing's going on between us. And then he just said, well, no, we're not sleeping together, pause, anymore. And so she basically like, you're not going to the back to school night, and you're going to stay away from her. And so they was like, well, what are we going to do? And so now they're trying to figure out what they're going to do to fix this situation. The town crier is pointing fingers at people as being child molesters, a damn pedophile herself. Girl. Okay, so they're at the back to school night. They're handing out the pamphlets. Dixie and Egina walk in. They're there talking their craziness and doing whatever it is that they do. They go over to get a pamphlet from her about the organization, and she's like, oh, that sounds great. And they was like, well, this is about working mothers. And she's like, I'm a real estate agent. This is Regina. And then Coralee was like, yeah, I remember sitting on your face. I guess she had some advertisement on the bench, and she's like, I remember sitting on your face. And they had that whole exchange, and it was just a hot mess. And so, okay, so Bob Armstrong convinces her to go and talk to Patty. No, actually, Patty came up with like she'd handed out all her flyers, and he gave her some more, and he encouraged Coralee to go talk to her. And they kind of talked for a minute, and then she saw that Regina had cornered Eddie Mae, and she, of course, Coralee, they were too far away for her to hear, and so she just yells out, Eddie Mae! And so she walks over, and Eddie Mae knows what's up, and she's like, basically, I'm only indulging her because it's more strategic to indulge her than to completely cut her out. And so she's like, oh, okay. And this is where you see, this is also the scene where you see kind of cracks in Eddie Mae's, Magnolia, and Bob Barnard's relationship. And so they're standing talking, and I think he was asking Magnolia about something, and she gets a text. It's from Brick asking if he can come over. Eddie Mae saw the text. She was like, just go. And so she was like, Magnolia was like, well, no, because all he wants to do is hook up. And I'm thinking, oh, okay. And of course Bob Barnard, but they didn't have the reaction that normal parents would have in a situation like that. So that situation was kind of iffy. And so Bob Armstrong walks over, and they're talking about the organization and emceeing, and Bob Barnard, I guess Bob Armstrong thought that he was going to be the grand dame and be the MC. and they realized that Bob Barnard is going to be MC, and then they agreed to do the MC the show together. And so Magnolia and Eddie Mae, her mom Eddie Mae, walked over to continue handing out flyers. And so they set up a time to meet to talk about their opening act. Okay. So Coralee and Eddie Mae, Coralee and Patty are still talking. They think, okay, well, we should. Bob Barnard goes over to tell Coralee that he's going to be meeting with Bob Barnard to talk about the opening act, and that they should also get together to talk. And so Coralee agreed that they could go out tomorrow, the next day, to the Wiener Dog. Now, who works at the Wiener Dog? Patty's mom. She's like, I don't want to go there. My mother works there. And she's like, oh, girl, we're going to the Wiener Dog because I've been craving that for some time or whatever. Okay, so they get to the Wiener Dog, and Patty's mom is at the register. For the life of me, I can't think of her name right now. Patty's mom is at the register. And so she sees them walk in, and of course she's feeling some kind of way. Cause she kept saying to somebody, "Get me a knife," and he must have stabbed me in the back, and she feels like she's been betrayed, and so none. And Coralee introduced herself, and she was like, "Oh my God, Coralee Huggins." And Coralee looked at her like, "Do we know each other? Do you know me?" She was the mom's talking to Patty. He's like, "Yeah, she lived. You thought that she was trading up for me, and she grew up in the trailer next to mine." And she abandoned her family, and she uses people, and she's gonna use you too, because Bladells never win. And so she got her order. Coralee went and paid for her food and got her food and pulled Patty to the side and was like, she tried to diffuse the situation, like, your mom, she's upset right now because she's a drunk and something other. She said something other. And Patty was like, I'm just sick of it. She's the reason why I'm all fucked up. And then when I find something that I love, she's giving me all these problems. And I just hate her. She just created all these problems in my life. And basically now she wants to shit on my dream of being in the pageant, doing the pageant thing. And I'm just sick of it. And so Coralee takes her and ushers her out. And she wants to continue to talk to her. And so here we are at Bob Armstrong is at Bob Barnard's house. They're sitting around talking, and they're kind of actually having a decent conversation. And so Bob Barnard, because Eddie Mae and Magnolia's favorite movie is Dirty Dancing, he said, okay, we should do the the time of my life scene. So that's the big crescendo at the end, towards the end of the movie, where they have the big dance scene. If you've never seen, I don't know who hadn't seen Dirty Dancing, but okay. And so now they're so now they're having a discussion on who's going to be sing the man's part, who's going to sing the woman's part in the song. And so in the end, it was agreed that Bob Barnard was going to sing the man's song and Bob Armstrong ended up singing the woman's song. Okay, was there ever any doubt, really? So they're out in the yard. At this point, they're out in the yard. Then this is how they decided it. Who's going to do the run and catch, right? So if you've not familiar with Dirty Dancing, it's the scene where she runs to him and he catches her and holds her up in the air over his head. So you got two grown men out in the yard trying to decide who's going to do the lift and who's going to do the run and the lift and the carrying. And so Armstrong was supposed to run the Barnard, but he chickened out, and that's when they were like, okay, you're not going to do the jump, so you go ahead and we're just going to do it this way. So Eddie Mae and Magnolia get home, and they're like, what are you guys doing out here? And it's all, just trying to decide, still working on the opening act. And of course, Bob Barnard was like, oh, I thought of a great act for you from Eddie Mae. I saw this knife throwing act or a scalpel throwing act or something. And she was like, I don't need to do that. We don't even need to compete because Magnolia, she already won the previous pageant. So she already has a win under her belt to qualify for Miss Magic Jesus. So she don't even need to really compete in this pageant. And so they go on in the house, and Bob Barnard feels like it's when her mom comes to town, it's like I don't matter anymore. And now he feels like he spends more time with her, and not that his opinion should matter more. He just feels like her mom comes in and takes over, which I don't see that. But especially after the conversation that they eventually have. So Magnolia and Eddie Mae's in the house, and she revealed that, the pageant thing used to be fun, but her dad, Bob Barnard, has just sucked all the fun out of it because if he's controlling. He wants to control where she goes. He wants to control what she eats. He wants to control her workout schedule. He wants to control. It's like, it's not fun anymore. It almost feels like a job. And Barnard, you find, is really caught up on appearances. And so when she made the comment about she doesn't even need to compete, he was like, even one loss could make us look bad as a family. And it's like, should this pageant matter that much to you that you feel like it's going to tarnish your family? It's something this benign. It's something so just inconsequential. Shouldn't have that much of an impact on your family. So that shows the issue that Bob is having with his need to project this image to the rest of the world. And so Eddie was like, well, have you talked to him about it? And she was like, the only person that listens to me is you. And so eventually they all three end up in the kitchen. And Eddie Mae said that, Magnolia doesn't want to do pageants anymore. And he was like, well, what do you mean? Well, why not? And he was like, I thought you loved it. She was like, well, yeah, when it was fun. And so during this conversation, her phone rang and it was work. And he was like, don't you need to get that? And so he walked off. And so you're seeing also the issues in their marriage. So you're seeing the issues between Magnolia and her dad. And now you're seeing the issues between Eddie Mae and her husband. Because her job keeps her away a lot. Even though he's a DA, that's not something he has to travel for. But her job, it keeps her away a lot. And so it's impacting their time together as a couple. It's impacting their marriage. And so initially she didn't want to answer the phone. She went on to answer the phone and she didn't want to go. She was like, I'm spending time with my daughter. And she's like, Mom, just go and I understand. And so she basically saying Eddie Mae ended up saying, I feel like I'm torn. And, because when I'm at work, I want to be home. And when I'm at home, sometimes I want to be at work. And so Magnolia felt some kind of way. Even though the way it came out, I can understand why she felt some kind of way. Because Eddie Mae read it, and Magnolia read it as, like she doesn't want to spend time with her family. Like when she's with her family, she wants to be someplace else. Like when she's with me, she doesn't really want to be with me. She's really thinking about being someplace else. And so now you have the issue with Eddie Mae and Magnolia. You have the issues with Magnolia and her dad. And you have the issues with Eddie Mae and Bob. So it's just like this. You're seeing the cracks in their quote unquote perfect family, perfect life. So you flash to Coralee took Patty back to her house, and she's flipping through photo albums, and she's telling her the story about her and how her and Bob met. And basically, Coralee's father was, and I can't remember the name of it. He was that person that did these sculptures with the bushes, like he was good at designing them. And so she said her father was hired because it was Bob's law school graduation party, and they wanted his family hired her father to do the work. And of course, she was there also because her father taught her how to do it to help out. And so that's when they met, and they've been inseparable ever since. And she was basically letting her know that, where you come from doesn't have to be all who you are. And, I came from this, and I was able to come from this to become the woman that I am today. And basically, you can do the same. And so you can see Patty's heart kind of soften a little bit. She really wasn't. It allowed her to look at Coralee in a different light. And so Patty's mom was so upset so childish and immature, that now instead of saying, okay, why is it that my daughter and I relationship is so screwed up, she decides to rope Nonnie into joining the mother-daughter pageant with her to compete against Patty, against Nonnie and against Coralee and Patty. And the way she was able to do it was, Patty would probably see you in a different light, seeing you all dressed up. Now, she's using this teenage girl's emotions and feelings that she has for Patty against her. Well, I'm like, you are a complete and total bitch. And just sick. And so that's when Nonnie was like, oh, okay. And so, Regina and Dixie, they're at the gym working out for this pageant. And Regina saw a brick. And so she corners him in the locker room, and she's trying to seduce this child in the locker room. And you can see he was getting weak for a minute, but he stood fast like, nah, I'm good. I'm just not. Me and Magnolia back together. I ain't interested. And she was like, well, when you're done playing in the kiddie pool, you let me know. It's like this blatant teen sex. I ain't seen not one condom come out. The pedophilia, the statutory rape. It's like this town is full of a bunch of damn loons, lunatics. Okay, so pageant day. So they, everybody's arriving, and this is when Patty see her mom and Nomi. Patty's mom is actually doing Nomi's makeup. She's like, what's going on? And so she took the time to say, well, since you entered the pageant without me, I decided I was going to enter the pageant without you. And she, Nomi was sitting in the chair, like, Nomi's like, well, I just like in shock, like, I don't like what she didn't know what to say. And Patty was like, you just can't let me have this. It's like you just can't let me have the light. It's like, she was once, I guess, I don't know, she was once the town beauty or whatever she was, and the alcoholism and the bad relationships eventually took their toll on her, and now she's jealous of her daughter. She's jealous of her daughter's youth. She's jealous of her daughter's beauty. She just don't know what to, just can't handle it. And so she, of course, got upset, and they parted ways. And then the mom was like, I need to have a drink. Now, she's a recovering alcoholic. She ain't recovering shit, because just a mess. And so Nomi was like, no, you shouldn't do that. You're working, your sobriety, da-da-da-da. Okay, so Nomi ends up calling Choi. They're sitting down talking, and he basically said that, you went all the way to Alabama to make sure that she was okay. You always have her back. I don't see the problem with you wanting to shine, because Nomi got into her talent was singing, and she, initially got into it because, of what the mom said about Patty maybe seeing her in a different light, but she also warmed up to the idea of actually performing. And so she decided to, to stick it out and stick it through. So Dixie and Vagina saw Patty and Coralee's dresses and decided to take some lipstick, because they had white dresses, and it was horror on one and there was something else on another. So of course they saw this, and Barnard Armstrong was like, get my kitten caboodle. And he, decided he was going to do his own thing. And of course you don't see this until they actually come out. Okay, and so Dixie's coming out of the bathroom, and Choi is walking through the hall. She was like, what are you doing here? Like, just because we made out in the back seat of the car doesn't mean that you're my boyfriend. No. And just because you're here doesn't mean we're going to do anything in the bathroom. And next thing you know, flash of the bathroom, they're pulling their clothes up, because they done bumped uglies in the bathroom. Again, not one condom wrapping, not one condom shown. So she gets dressed, and she walks out to go and get the show started. So now there's an opening act. They come out and they start singing, singing and doing their little choreography. Next thing you know, Barnard, he's like thunder from the down under. He done pulled his clothes down. He done stripped down to some gold lame, look at some gold lame biker shorts. I ain't seen much of a print, but and he just sashaying and shantying all over the stage, right? And Bob Armstrong is like, this asshole did this to a Negro. This asshole did this to show me up. He tricked me and da-da-da-da-da. And so he was, after the whole thing, they started announcing, they go over to the mic so they can announce the contestants come out. He was like, you tricked me. He said, well, I feel like it's, we're even, because you needed me to help you out with this thing over here. And of course, at this point, we don't know what it is. So everybody starts coming out, and then Coralee and Patty come out with their dresses. He had taken lipstick, and he had wrote like other derogatory things like slut and whore and that kind of stuff. He wanted, now their dresses make a statement. So people's like, oh, okay, they're clapping and like, oh, okay. And so of course Dixie and Vagina over there, it looked like they were sucking on a lemon, looking all stupid, right? And so then they get to the talent portion. The talent portion was Coralee and Vagina and Dixie did a ventriloquist act. Dixie sat on her lap and they did the whole thing. Patty and Coralee did the sculpting of a bush on stage that was the supposed to be a Georgia peach. And then they got to Nomi and Patty's mom. She, on her time away, she the one that had a drunk, so she drunk off her ass. She ends up passing out. Nomi is standing there devastated because she was all ready to go out and sing and she wanted to do it, but because mom here is passed the hell out, she's now disqualified because it has to be a mother and daughter act. So she done traumatized her daughter, and she done traumatized Nonnie too now. Like, girl, she can't get her shit together for nothing. So in the end, Patty and Coralee ends up winning. Then you flash to Brick and Magnolia. Brick went over to Magnolia's house and he took Dirty Dancing and he took some popcorn. And she's like, well, she's kind of talking to him about the whole situation with her dad. And she was like, well, why did you bring this? She said, because I didn't want you to all think that I only wanted you for sex. And so Magnolia wasn't trying to hear that because she was trying to have the time of her life. So she ends up jumping on Brick and they end up yet again teen sex. And I ain't seen no condom come out, but okay. So they won. Now they're all, people were walking up congratulating them. No, they won. And this is where it comes in where Barnard said, well, we're even because I did this thing for you. When they won, of course, Vaginas, her up there screeching like a band. Oh, this is rigged and you cheated and this is rigged and this your fault and da-da-da-da. And then the police comes up, put the handcuffs on her and basically said, you're arrested for statutory rape. And so now everybody's sitting there like, oh, what? What's going on now? So of course Dixie's like, what are you talking about? My mom would never do such a thing. Da 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 da. They drag her off stage, and she was telling Dixie, call your grandfather, and have him meet me at the station. Da da da. And so Barnard was like, she did exactly what you said she was going to do. He was like, And so now after the show, they're walking around with their crowns. Nonnie and Patty's mom walk up. Nonnie basically apologized, like, I wasn't trying to steal your light. I wasn't trying to do, They reconcile. It wasn't a big deal. They're cool. And then Patty's mom that finally admitted to, I'm how sorry she was and how she did the things that she does because she was jealous. And so now they're good. And so now Patty's mom wants to take her, Patty, out to dinner. And she was like, yeah, only if Coralee can come with me. Because now Patty thinks that her and Coralee has some kind of connection. And so she goes over to Coralee. Coralee is, smoozing with the women that's, I guess, in the position she wanted to be in. And she, of course, she's, putting on this front, like she, all that in bag of chips. So she's talking, Patty goes over to talk to Coralee and said, oh, my mom wants to take me out and I wonder if you want to come with us. And Coralee basically like, okay, she was a straight up bitch. Like, basically, no, this is basically, we're not going to have a relationship or anything like that. This was basically a means to an end for me, which she did kind of say in the beginning, initially when she said, I don't want to win. She's trying to achieve this particular thing. So this was just basically a means to an end. Like, we're not going to have a relationship after this. This is just basically it, right? And so, of course, that set Patty off. And this is when Patty decided that she was going to give her. She pulled that necklace out and gave it to her. And this was given to me by Stella Rose. You remember when we went to go see her, Bob's mentor? And yeah, she gave me this to give to you. And yeah, he gave her this during the time when you guys were married. They had an affair, and she did the whole thing. And she, of course, now Coralee's standing there with this necklace in her hand. Patty walks off, and she clenched her fist. This Coralee watching Patty walk away. I'm like, Patty girl, you playing a dangerous game. Now you trying to be on some grown woman shit. It's gonna be interesting to see how this all play out, because you trying to get the big leagues now with this whole craziness. But we're gonna see how this works out. And so you flash to Brick and Magnolia in bed, and she gets a text or something, and she was like, oh my god, I can't believe that Egina was arrested for sleeping with a student at the school. That's disgusting. And so Brick is sitting there like, oh god. So that's basically how it ends. So these people in this town are straight up lunatics. I don't even know what to say. All this teenage sex, this pedophilia, this statutory rape. It's just debaucherous. That's just a lot of crap going on in this town. It's just, and I can see now, some of the other reviews or comments that I've seen on this show. It's like, I don't know if this show would have made it on cable TV. But you know what? I'm going to end this here. And as try as I might, I can never get these videos to be shorter than 25 or 30 minutes. I don't know why. But again, I'm going to leave this here, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.